It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of October 23rd, 1992. We got 5 movies to look at today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump on into it. I'm going to start off with the first movie that we have here, the biggest new release of the weekend, country music superstar George Strait making his acting debut in Pure Country. Well, I'm pure rock and roll. Yeah, I'm not a big country music person. I really don't like a whole lot of country music. I think there's only like maybe 1 or 2 songs I like, but maybe I'm over exaggerating a little bit. But I'm not a big country music person. I really am not. So you could probably tell that I wasn't too thrilled about this movie in particular. And yeah, that's pretty much the case here. It's not a bad movie, and George Strait, he's not doing a bad job acting in here. In fact, I would have liked to see what he could have done with some more roles if he'd gotten them, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if he had a bad time working on this movie in particular, or nobody really wanted to hire him. But he really isn't the worst thing about this movie. In fact, the acting overall is pretty good here. You got him, Leslie Ann Warren, Isabel Glazer, and Kyle Chandler, who would later become best known for his work on Friday Night Lights, the TV series. But the movie itself is just kind of formulaic. It kind of reminded me a little too much of something like Coal Miner's Daughter or something like that. A very mediocre storyline that doesn't really have a whole lot to work with. It's just not a movie it's not really in my personal area to really appreciate, because I'm not really much of a country music person, and there's just nothing about this movie that really pleases me here. Despite the acting overall is pretty good, but that's pretty much all I got to say about this movie. If you're not really into this guy's music, you're really not going to get invested into it. It was really kind of how I felt about it. It's not a bad movie, but certainly not one I want to watch over and over again. So that's Pure Country. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Larry Drake starring in Dr. Giggles. I can't specify enough how much I really love Larry Drake, man. He puts his all into pretty much anything he does. He was great on LA Law. He was great in Darkman. I didn't realize until recently that he was actually the voice of Pops and Johnny Bravo, and now I can kind of hear it now. But he usually brought it to any movie that he was in or any TV show. He was a really great actor, and this movie should have worked because of that, but it really doesn't. He really is putting his all into this. He's trying the best he can. He has a lot of charisma. He has a great, over-the-top, deranged performance in this movie it works okay, but the rest of the movie itself is your typical slasher movie. It's not really anything too exciting. It's not anything too amazing. The kills aren't even all that spectacular either. It's a movie that had so much potential to it because you got Larry Drake to play the bad guy in this, and it just didn't work overall. This was supposed to be the first movie that was supposed to start a new series of films from Dark Horse Comics. I guess this is based off of a Dark Horse comic series. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really know too much about that series in particular, but yeah, this movie just felt like there was a lot of potential there because you have a great actor in Larry Drake playing the bad guy, but there's just nothing else to it. It's a movie that kind of is just a bland slasher movie, and not really a very good one. There's a lot of potential ideas that could work here, but the script is just like I said, it's just a generic, cliched slasher film. It's nothing really exciting, nothing really engaging, and it just kind of leaves you immediately. I completely forgot I even saw the movie about a day after I saw it for the first time, and that should really tell you a whole lot about it. It's a movie that just didn't work. Unfortunately, it didn't because of the potential that it had with its leading actor, but that's really all I got to say about Dr. Giggles. Dr. Giggles, I should say. I don't know what that was, but let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. Another Oliver Stone production, Zebrahead, starring Michael Rappaport. So it's basically Jungle Fever, except the roles are reversed. It's now a white guy dating a black girl instead of a white girl instead of a white girl dating a black guy, and that's basically what it looks like here. I haven't seen this movie. I can't really comment on it too much. It doesn't have bad reviews on it, and honestly, it doesn't look that bad either. I mean, Michael Rappaport can be a very good actor if you put him in the right roles, and it looks like he fits this role pretty well. This actress, and Bushi Wright, I'm pronouncing it correctly. I think I am. I don't know for sure, but the only other thing I know that she was in Blade, which with Wesley Snipes, but I didn't know she was in this movie. And honestly, I never even heard about this movie until I looked it up. But judging by this trailer, the main thing that I'm getting from it is that it's a role reversal of Jungle Fever, but it could still be a pretty decent movie. But I'm seeing all the reviews on here, and they're not bad reviews. It's just, I think a lot of the criticisms comes from the fact that it's pretty much just a reverse of Jungle Fever. But again, it's not. It doesn't seem like it's a bad movie overall. And it still could be very topical even for today. But that's pretty much all I got for you on this one, because I haven't seen it. I can't really comment on it too much. So that's Zebrahead. So let's go ahead and move on to probably the best movie that came out this weekend. And I shouldn't even say probably, because it is the best movie that came out this weekend. It's the movie that introduced us to a young director named Quentin Tarantino, and that movie is Reservoir Dogs. So this is the movie that not only opened the door for Quentin Tarantino to become the director that we know him for today, but it also introduced kind of everybody to the idea of independent films and how the independent film boom in the 90s really began, because it started with little movies like this, and then you had stuff like Robert Rodriguez, El Mariachi, and it just kept going from there and there. And Miramax became more of a proponent of these movies coming out. They believed in these movies enough to the point where these movies that were independent movies became part of their library of films that would define their studio for the next decade, or for the next couple of decades. And really, with this movie, you can kind of see why it worked, because you have a great cast here: Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, Chris Penn, Steve Buscemi, Lawrence Tierney, Michael Madsen, Tarantino himself, Edward Bunker, Randy Brooks, Stephen Wright. Just these great actors working off of here, and you get to see everything that made Tarantino what he is: violent crime, pop culture references, nonlinear storytelling, which works all into his favor. And it's just a great movie overall. It's great to hear this dialogue, hear all these people talking, and hearing all these stories, and you don't really know how it's going to pan out, honestly. And that's what's really great about it, because you can watch this movie for the first time, and you really don't know what's going to happen towards the end of it. And the twists and turns that they pull here are very good. They're very unique. They're very interesting for the time, and it's just a great movie overall. It's a wonderfully made film. It introduced the world to Tarantino and showed his potential as a filmmaker. And of course, we would see what he would do later on down the line. His career would only get better and better throughout the course of this decade. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about this one. There's not really much more to say about it. Reservoir Dogs is a classic movie. It's the movie that gave us Quentin Tarantino, introduced the form of independent film as we know it today, and it's a movie that has stood the test of time. It's just a great film. What more can you say about it? Reservoir Dogs, just a fantastic film. So, with that said, on to the last movie that we have here, and that is In the Soup. So the premise of In the Soup is that you have this story about Steve Buscemi, who's this screenwriter who has this unfilmable 500-page screenplay and is looking for a producer to produce it, and he finds this guy played by Seymour Cassell to help him put it together. He puts out this ad, and this guy Joe wants to produce it, but his own ideas of the film regarding film financing kind of turns Buscemi's world upside down. It's a great cast overall in this. Jennifer Beals is also in here. Will Patton, Carol Kane, Stanley Tucci, Jim Jarmusch, Debbie Mazar, Sam Rockwell. I haven't seen the movie. I can't really comment on it too much, but it definitely looks like a movie that could be really interesting. It's one I'd never heard of until I looked it up, so can't really say too much about it, but it has my interest very piqued here. I haven't even looked to see if it's got any good reviews or anything, but it does look like a pretty interesting movie. Another independent movie, another one with Steve Buscemi, second one we've seen from him this weekend. It could be pretty good, so maybe one day I'll definitely check it out. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. The next time we meet, we'll head to Halloween weekend, October 30th, 1992, and we'll take a look at two movies. None of them I've never seen, so this should be another quick episode to end the week off. We've got Rampage, and we also have The Lover. So, again, should be a very quick week for this next one. So, With that said, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.